Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up, all? You can tell by the unfortunate look on my face, I'm feeling exactly how all San Francisco fans are right about now. Three in a row, man. If it's been the first time in a long time that we've dumped 3 games in a row. And the one thing that I will say before getting into it deeply is there's a pattern of, if you've been watching all these 3 games, there's a pattern that's forming. It kind of feels like when we played Cleveland 2 weeks ago, something was stuck to us that lasted the last 2 weeks, one in Minnesota and the other this past week. And I want to say that it's primarily on the defense. I don't want to really take sides, but obviously in the last 3 weeks, we've seen a defense that really hasn't been very good at rushing the passer. Although it was a little better today, they were able to generate a couple sacks. I know Bosa had a half, and they were able to get, I think, about 2.5 to 3 sacks. But there's something off about the defense, and I don't just think it's from the front four. I think there's something off in the defensive backfield. Look, as good as Shavarius Ward is, these fucking penalties are killing us, man. The matchup with him and Jamar Chase today, obviously, was a premier matchup and wanted to die since Browns game. Don't forget. I feel you, Nickel Torcello. Thank you all for joining the live podcast here. Please feel free to hit any comments and questions. I love all you guys contributing. Ward is killing us with his penalties. Some of them are a little ticky-tack. I thought the one today was a little ticky-tack, the pass interference. But it's been happening the last couple of games, obviously. And the scary thing is this didn't feel like a winnable game because from the start, I think that the Bengals established themselves early on, and Joe Burrow had a game very similar to Kirk Cousins where he was very precise with the passing game, hardly threw a bad pass here or two, did not turn the ball over, did not throw a pick, even scrambled very positively, which we see very rarely from Joe Burrow, but everything seemed to be going their way and then some. And I'm just kind of wondering, okay, well, you obviously played against a very good offensive team in terms of wide receivers. I mean, Jamar Chase is by far one of the premier wide receivers in the league. Tyler Boyd is a very good wide receiver. T. Higgins is a very good wide receiver. And, of course, Joe Mixon is a very good running back. And, Joe Burrow is one of the top quarterbacks in the league, if not one of the best in the AFC. But something is missing. There was this segment, I thought, that kind of the momentum changed when Bosa and Armstead had Burrow wrapped up and he escaped. That was one of the ones that was really odd to me, and it felt like after that things just really started to go downhill. Once again, the Bengals, a team that in the last 3 weeks we've seen, when a team runs the ball over 100 yards on us, usually we lose. We saw that against the Cleveland Browns. That wasn't the case against the Minnesota Vikings, but then again, Kirk Cousins shredded us through the air. But today, the Bengals were able to get over 100 yards on the ground, and that, of course, decimated us. So let's get into this. Let's just get into it. I don't think it's a time to panic. I think it's 3 games in a row that we lost. This is one of the 2 games we definitely deserve to lose out of this 3-game slide. Cleveland game we should have won. Minnesota game we should have won. Cleveland game was lost on a field goal. Minnesota game was lost, a couple different ways. Today, I don't think we really should have won that game. Although, to be fair, if Brock Purdy doesn't throw that interception to Pratt, come down to the goal line, it's a tie game if we score that touchdown, which we looked like because the momentum was just surging. But I got to say this. Look, I got Brock Purdy's back, as I'm sure a lot of you do. I still feel he's the guy. I still feel he's great. I still feel He is one of the top quarterbacks in the league. He's going to have one of these games eventually. We cannot blame him for all these 3 losses. Was today a little bit more his fault? Yeah, he did throw a bad pass to Logan Wilson over the middle, which kind of brought back memories of some of the interception he threw in the Monday night game last week. But that being said, we can't put all 3 losses on him. He's still the guy who helped us get to a certain place last year and still played great early on this year. Plus, he was coming out of concussion protocol, which I'm not going to use as an excuse. But to be fair, he did play rather hard for a guy who just came out of concussion protocol, especially running the ball. That being said, I thought that the first offensive set was a load of shit. I didn't understand Shanahan's play calling that, and of course, I'm not blaming Shanny for this loss. It was not his fault. But the first round of plays to me with 3 runs, I didn't understand why we didn't come out gunning the ball, being that we wanted to pick up where we left off last week, and we really wanted to establish ourselves against a very good team in which the Bengals are surging the other way. I mean, they started off really rough, and now they're coming on, and that's been happening ever since Joe Burrow's been getting healthier. So I'm wondering why we would go with 3 run plays early on and not really try and bang this team out early and get down the field and get 6 points. Yeah, I'm so mad too, JV Niners. I feel kind of sick. And again, if you're just tuning in now, I think that something has stuck from the Browns' loss. For those of you that don't know, this is a live podcast, so if you hear me talking to myself, I'm not. I'm talking to people who are very cool and kind enough and awesome to join the live podcast, which I'm very humbled, great, and lucky for on this page. Something was wrong the last 2 weeks. And again, the Cleveland game, I think, is a game that stands alone due to the weather, due to just the overall abundance of things that were going wrong in terms of the Trent Williams injury, in terms of the deebosamuel injury, in terms of the Christian McCaffrey injury, the weather conditions. It was a terrible game all around. I think we were destined to lose that game. Last Monday night is something different, though. Something stayed over. Another thing that I noticed today was that we only threw to a certain amount of wide receivers. Kittle had a catch. McCaffrey obviously had a catch. I think Ray had one, and of course Brandon Ayuk had one. I noticed that Jennings didn't get anything, so that's I don't know. He had a pretty good game last week. I think he had 5 catches, 54 yards against Cleveland. I don't remember him getting much, and this week he didn't get much. So I don't know why that happens. I also know that this was another night in which the offensive line, in my opinion, had a rough time establishing the run game. Now, I'm going to say this, and I really don't like doing this. I'm not trying to put anybody on blast, but it's just from what I see when I watch the game. And if you guys agree with me, let me know. And if you don't agree with me, let me know. Jalen Moore sucks. Okay? And I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to dump on anyone, but I never feel confident when he's in the game, obviously, because he's not Trent Williams. Okay, fine. Not everyone has that much talent. But there were so many times tonight that he was being beat left and right. Mind you, he was going up against Trey Hendrickson, who's a damn good defensive lineman. But it just feels to me that a lot of the pressure was caving in from that side of the line, which is the left side of the line. Being that Cincinnati already has a really good front 4 with B.J. Hill, Trey Hendrickson. I mean, it felt to me that left side was caving in all night. And the same thing happened last week with Daniel Hunter. He had that big sack, a couple of pressures there, and it came on Jalen Moore's side because Trent Williams obviously didn't play last Monday night too. So Jalen Moore, I don't know. I mean, maybe it just didn't work out. I just don't feel confident when he's in the game. Here's another good name I'm going to throw out there. We're going to go to the defensive side of the ball. Where's Javon Kinlaw? Can anyone tell me? I did see him make a play today, but I feel like either I'm not watching the whole game, I don't see when he's in there, or I'm missing something. I don't know. But this guy is not playing like a first-round pick. Where the fuck is Drake Jackson? He had 3 sacks opening day against Pittsburgh. He's been absolutely Claude Rains. Claude Rains was an actor who played the fucking Invisible Man. He's been the Invisible motherfucking Man for the last couple of weeks, and someone tell me why. Where is Cleveland Farrell? Okay, I see him, but I don't see anything I don't see anything from him. Okay, so I don't know what the problem is. Obviously, from just being mine eyes and being your eyes, I think it's obviously generating a lot of pressure on the quarterback, which we are not doing. We didn't do it at all last Monday night. Fucking Kirk Cousins had enough time to build an ark, take all the animals, put them on board, clean up their shit. He could have gone to take a shit, come back, and fucking still would have done what he did because there was no pressure on him. That's not like us. Now, a lot of people I see are dumping on Bosa. Here's Dr. P49. He's asking where's Bosa been. Look, Tony Romo, who I can't stand with a passion, who I think is one of the most talentless, horrible announcers there is. He's so fucking annoying. He's so homer. It's not even funny. He's like, what I mean by that is he's obviously always rooting for, if the Cowboys are playing, he's rooting for the Cowboys, but it always feels like he's always rooting for the other team other than the 49ers. He made a very good point today saying that when people go after Bosa, what they should remember is Bosa, one of the stats Bosa has is the highest in the league for hitting the quarterback. Okay, fine. I love that. I can't put all this on Bosa. He had a monster year last year. He's still one of the best defensive players in the league. But look, offenses change. People watch tape. They know. Here's my concern about Bosa. Why are we not murking him on both sides of the line? Why isn't he going from the left to the right to the middle, or standing up on some plays and coming and blitzing as a linebacker? That's what I would really like to see. I would really like to see that type of change to the defense because it's not working right now. It's just not working. Yeah, we're caving in. We caved in the pocket a little bit tonight, but for the most part, I think Burrow. I forgot how many yards he had on the ground. Some of the most yards he's had in his career, mind you. He's coming off a calf injury. He did not look compromised whatsoever. In fact, some of those runs were extremely long, I thought, for a quarterback like him who's not known to be a mobile quarterback. But there's a problem there, especially when you wrap a guy up and you have him and he gets free. I mean, let's face it, Joe Burrow is not Jalen Hurts. He doesn't have that elasticity as a quarterback to kind of fucking get out of it. He's not, like a Randall Cunningham used to do, or like a Big Ben Roethlisberger, who was really good at extending a play, hence because he was tall and strong and he could, he didn't have a lot of moves. I mean, Joe Burrow's not that elusive of a quarterback, but I will say that today he looked really good. He looked really elusive. And look at his numbers, whatever he was, 25 of 29, 25 of 28. Burrow's mobile AMB 3379, but he's not a mobile quarterback, okay? He's not Randall Cunningham. He's not Jalen Hurts. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not these guys. He did look good. I agree with you. 100%. Listen, I'm a Joe Burrow fan. Always was. I got to give him his due. I mean, he played like a fucking like a murking dog today. He was determined to beat the shit out of us, and he did that. Here's another thing: the middle of the field is open every fucking time. Every fucking time, the middle of the field is open. I don't know why. We did make him look good. I agree with you too. We made Kirk Cousins look good. We made PJ Walker look good. I'm not over that fucking loss. So something is off now. A lot of people are calling for Steve Wilkes' head. I'm not going to say that at this point because I thought Wilkes did a damn good job at the end of last year as a head coach, filled in admirably and did well in Carolina. And as a defensive coordinator, that's kind of where he made his bones. I don't think it's all his fault, but I will say this. If something's not working, let's change some shit up. I watched the Jet-Giant game today because I am on the East Coast, and of course, Robert Saleh is the head coach. Jeff Ulbrich is the defensive coordinator. Jeff Ulbrich, for all of you that may or may not know, ex-linebacker for the 49ers, and of course, Coach Saleh, ex-defensive coordinator for the 49ers. And one thing I was noticing is that they were sacking Trent Taylor with just a three-man front because we know Robert Saleh does not like to blitz. Okay, so now we're talking 2 years after Saleh's gone, and obviously we have a new defensive coordinator, and I know we don't like to blitz because it puts compromise on the passing defense. But something's got to give. I need to see more of a rotation with players. I don't know why Randy Gregory's not playing as much as he should. He's a straight up pass rusher. We need to get him more in the game. And with the trade deadline coming up, I see no problem and reason why we shouldn't go out and get another pass rusher. Our secondary has to be better. Last week, secondary was shit. We made Jordan Addison look like, Jordan Addison's playing pretty good, but we made him look like Randy fucking Moss. Now, again, I just want to make a point about something last week with Charvarius Ward missing that interception. That was not Steve Wilkes' fault, that particular action. The defense they were in, I think, obviously could have been different. But if Ward makes that pick, no one's complaining about the defense they were in. Let's face it. That was just a matter of Addison being in a better spot than he was to just pull the ball. He pulls that ball away from Addison. That game is ours. So, also it didn't help that Moody missed the field goal, but it is what it is. We better look at this on the bye. We have some good teams coming. He needs to be more involved, change up some schemes. I agree with you. If you can't make changes at halftime, something he did not do against Cleveland. If you remember the Cleveland game, we were getting run on left and right. And I kept saying to myself and to my father, who I watched the games with all the time, okay, so obviously we're having trouble stopping the run. And this is without Nick Chubb. This is with Ford, and this is with Pierre Strong. Ford was running us over. And you're saying to yourself, and Kareem Hunt, okay, so obviously in the second half we gotta plug this. We gotta plug this defensive. We gotta plug the run because they're not PJ Walker's not beating us through the air. They're beating us down the run, and that was one of the games that we got run over for a large group of yards. One of the times that's happened a lot this year. In fact, it was the first time that a team ever went over 100 yards on us per game this year. Last week, Cam Akers and Mattinson didn't do much on the ground, but the runs that they did have hurt us at times. But it was through the air. Now this week I saw a little mix of both, and again, I don't know why. Here's one thing that does bother about Steve Nicks. Get out of the booth and go down to the field. That's just my opinion. I don't understand why he's in the fucking booth. Does he have something wrong with his knees? Something wrong with his back? Does he have arthritis? Is he, God forbid, sick? I don't know. But D'Amico Ryans was down there, as was Robert Saleh, and it really made a difference when it came to the camaraderie of the team. We all know that because those two guys, were well revered and loved for the way that they emphasized emotions and energy in the defense. You felt that. Hence why they went on to be head coaches. I don't see that. I don't see a sense of urgency from him. I see a laid back, kind of a Todd Bowles type thing going on there, and it's not working. It's just not working. Now, either when we have played some good offensive lines, obviously, we did play one in Cleveland. The Minnesota offensive line, I thought we should have dominated a little bit. And Cincinnati line isn't bad. They've improved on both sides of the ball. But, for the most part, again, I have no problem Bosa being number one in hitting quarterbacks. Armstead was active today. Armstead needs to be more active, too. Again, he's a guy I would be murking on different sides. I'd be doing interchangeable parts with these guys. I don't know why they're not doing that. But I do think that... Obviously, Cleveland Farrell, obviously, Javon Kinlaw, and obviously, Drake Jackson are not getting the fucking job done. Randy Gregory, had a good game last week, but he needs to be utilized more. Excuse me. It's times like these that I wonder, should we have kept Charles Amanyahu? Should we have kept some of the guys we let go last year? DJ Jones, whatever, I don't know. But I do know that we've given up 31 points. We gave up over 20 points in Cleveland, or how many other points we gave up. In Minnesota, and how many points we gave up in Cleveland. We're giving up chunks of yards, and that's not like us. And like someone just said on this live feed, the schedule is only going to get harder. Look, we got to face Seattle 2 more times. Seattle is surging right now. And I don't think Seattle's better than us at all. But they are playing really good football with a very young and talented defensive backfield. So the bye week is a good thing. It'll give us time to get everything together. We'll get Deebo back. We'll get Trent Williams back. I think the team is obviously much better when they have Deebo and Trent Williams. And hopefully in that time we make a trade for somebody. Some of the guys we lost to free. Yes, I agree with you, MB3379, 100%. And I think you and I are probably on the same page and we're saying this when those moves were happening during the offseason. Obviously, money and the cap was tight, but I agree with you. I think that, with the guys we had last year, preferably on a defensive front, we were legit and we had depth galore. Look, Javon Hargrove, I think, what does he have, about 2.5, 3 sacks? Has he played like a guy who's worth the money so far? No. Those are big shoes to fill. But I think he will, improve somewhere along the line down the season. Again, my concerns and my beefs are with Javon Kinlaw, Drake Jackson, and Cleveland Ferrell. I see nothing out of them. I'm not seeing it. And obviously Bosa needs some help, as does Armstead. They can't do it all themselves. So I'm hoping that they make a trade for somebody. We have to look and see who's out there, if anyone's out there at this point. I'm sure there are. There's always players out there. Let's talk about the offensive side of things. McCaffrey's had trouble running the ball the last 2 weeks. The defenses have really, you could feel the defenses hitting those gaps, clogging the ends to where, he likes to get inside and making it hard for those holes to open up, making life a lot harder for him. We are a second half season team. I feel that way a lot. Hence be why I thought we were going to win last week against Minnesota. I figured, we're a good second half team. But another thing, and I like to be objective about this. I'm not putting the blame on anybody in particular. Why doesn't Coach Shanny utilize Juice more? The play with Juice today was just a travesty. I didn't understand that. He did get the first down, but I thought it was a cool play in theory. But I just think there's no point to it. How come we're not seeing more of Jordan Mason? Why aren't we seeing more of Elijah Mitchell? He did get a little play today. We're not seeing a lot of dump outs to these guys. Why aren't we utilizing Ray McLeod more and end arounds, handoffs to him, utilizing him similar to the way we would deebosamuel? Because I think to some extent they have a lot of similarities. Why aren't we doing that? Why are we just doing this thing that we keep doing the thing and hoping it'll change? Mitchell needs to stay. Well, Mitchell doesn't get any burn. When does he get the ball? He doesn't get anything. Why doesn't he fucking play him more? Mitchell was a few yards shy of 1,000 yards 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was. I don't understand that. Well, you know what it was today? I think that defensive front is very good. They were clogging. They were shutting down. The gaps big time, and that's going to happen. Hence, be why we were trying to go off the edge. But at that point, change some shit up. It ain't working. Here's another thing. Get George Kittle the fucking ball more. Every time we put the ball in Kittle's hands, good things happen. We did that today, but why didn't we do that last week? Man, is it because we needed him to supplement as a blocker because Jalen Moore is not that good? I don't know. I really don't know. Look, this sucks. Losing 3 in a row absolutely sucks, and losing first place in the NFC West sucks. But again, the season is long. The season has a lot of time left. And we know last year we were 3-4 on before the trade deadline when we traded for McCaffrey. So I'm sure John Lynch has a couple things up his sleeve, and we're in a much better place we were last year. 5-3 to 3-4 is obviously better, and there's a lot of season left. So hopefully they find a way to get this shit together, because I'll tell you this much. If things keep going the way they're going, Steve Wilkes is not going to finish out the season as a defensive coordinator. I don't care what anybody says. Because you could even see last week in the press conference with Shanny, he was not too happy about the defensive calls down the line at the end of the first half in the Minnesota game. And Wilkes came out, talking about how it was his fault. So that's fine, but that's not going to fly every week. It's just not going to fly every week. When it comes to Purdy, like I said, the things I like about it, it's still the same guy. I like that he's using his feet more. Look, he had a bad game. He's bound to do that. He was 9 and fucking 0. He helped us get to the playoffs. I don't give a shit what people are gonna say about all the weapons he's gone around. I don't want to hear that shit. That's some bullshit. They used to try and paint Montana with that same thing. Well, he's got Rice. Well, he's got Taylor. Well, he's got Brent Jones and Roger Craig and Tom Ratman, and that's great. But every player is based on their own individual merit. That's the way it is. Okay, so I'm tired of people not giving Purdy his due when he plays well, and when he does have a rough game, they want to just fucking cave everything in and say he's not as good as we thought. That's some bullshit. And the press really is really rough on these guys when they lose or when they throw a pick, especially when they've been doing well for so long. But Purdy's still the guy, man, without a doubt. Look, if these were three of his worst games, I'll take three of his worst games over many other players, and that's saying a lot because he did, throw a touchdown today. And there were a lot of things I saw out of him that I liked, especially in terms of scrambling, and especially in terms, I didn't like that I saw him dive head first at one time, just coming out of concussion protocol. But this sucks. But look, there's a lot of things to look forward to. Like I said, bye week now, we get the players back we need. What are the positives? Mitch Wishnowsky is one of the best punters in football in pinning people back into the deep into their own area. We know that. Jake Moody made the last two field goals, made the field goal last week. Hopefully he's going to tighten his shit up. Bosa leads the league in quarterbacks hit. Get in on Caleb. Get in on Caleb. I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean on Caleb? Caleb who? Who are we talking about? Other things, get Trent Williams back at offensive line. That'll make a big difference. Get Deebo back. Look, Purdy's a very intelligent guy. He's going to look at the film. He knew the passes he threw were bad. The one over the middle was bad to Logan Wilson. He threw one like that last week. The QB from USC. You mean, Caleb Williams? No, we don't need a quarterback, bro. Purdy's the guy. Don't let these last two games, if this guy, if there are a lot of people out there who would take Purdy's worst games, as compared to their own, because they're not as bad as we think. He threw two bad passes in this game as far as I'm concerned. The one down by the goal line of Pratt, should have just held on to that. And the one over the middle, that looked like a force at that point. But it's going to happen. But I think things are going to get back to business as usual. We just need to win. And we need to get healthy, and the best time to do it is on the bye week. It's the best time to do it. Just going to bring up some stats real quick. I know penalties weren't that bad today, which was a good thing. But there were other things I thought that, like we said before, we saw that Cincinnati outran us in terms of yardage, and whenever that does happen, we lose, which really sucks. Let's go to scores. Excuse me. Here we go. So Burrow threw for 283, 3 touchdowns. He was 28 to 32, similar to the Kirk Cousins performance. We just didn't force him into any turnovers. The bye week is great right now. We didn't get enough pressure on him. Purdy, 22 with 31 for 365, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, sacked twice. Look, I'll take that worst game over a lot of things. Mixon ran for 87 yards. Burrow ran for 43 yards. Combine that and a couple of other guys, and they went over 134 yards. Brock Purdy led the team in rushing, 6 carries, 57 yards. McCaffrey was second, 12 carries, 54 yards. Why was Elijah Mitchell only down to 3 carries? I have a problem with that. George Kittle had a great game, 9 catches, 149. Um, who else? Brandon Ayuk, 5 catches for 109. McCaffrey, 6 for 64. Ray, 243. Only 4 receivers with receptions. Jamar Chase killed us, 10 catches, 100 yards. T. Higgins, 5 catches, 69 yards. And Tyler Boyd, 3 catches, 40 yards. They broke our backs, especially Jamar Chase. Obviously, the fumble by Purdy hurt us. He did. He ran the ball really well today, except for the time when he slid head first. I almost took a heart attack. And he threw 2 interceptions. So 3 turnovers on Brock Purdy. On the defense, Talanoa Huffanega had 10 tackles. Isaiah Oliver had 10 tackles. He's been very good the last 2 weeks, I thought. Fred Warner, 2 tackles. Deshaun Gibson had 8. We did get some sacks. 1 from Cleveland Farrell, a half a sack from Nick Bosa, and 2 from Mariki Armstead, who had one of his best games of the year, which was excellent. So we only gave up 2 sacks. 1 to Trey Hendrickson. I'm sorry, 3 sacks. No, I take that back. 2. 1 from Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard. So the offensive line didn't do that bad in terms of pass blocking. Run blocking was their thing. Now, let's just look at some team stats quick. Okay. A couple of things I noticed was obviously, even though we had more yards than they did in total, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. They were the better team by far. When it comes to penalties, we did have 5 penalties for 54 yards, which is a lot better than what has been. They only had 1 penalty for 15 yards, which tells you a lot. And of course, time of possession, they held the ball almost by 3 minutes more. So, look, these things are going to happen. Oliver got beat by Chase. He did, but it's Jamar Chase, bro. It's one of the best wide receivers in football. What's the saying that Jamar Chase is always open? I believe that shit. Some receivers are always open. It's a rough patch right now. But remember, we were in a worse place last year, being 3-4. It'd be nice to have Micah Parsons, but could have drafted him too if we hadn't gone after fucking Trey Lance. But that didn't happen. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. But you're right. I think we have to make a move for somebody. I think we got to do something to bolster this defense. So we go into the bye week. We get healthy. We regroup. I think because they were pressing a little bit today, the 49ers. And when a team presses, you can tell that they need to step back. Week off will help. They'll get everybody back healthy that they need, and hopefully, Purdy will get his mind straight a little bit better. Still only in the second season. And plenty of football left, man. There's plenty of football left. There's nothing to panic about. There's nothing to worry about. We'll win the NFC West. Seattle's not going to beat us, but definitely a rough patch these last 3 weeks. So let's just hope for the best. See what happens in the press conferences. I'm curious to know, and hopefully, Coach Shanny and Steve Wilkes are having many good positive arguments about the things that they see that they don't agree with. All right. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, comments, or whatever, we need a break. Second half has to be better. Second half last week wasn't bad, I'll say that. The second, again, I think it comes down to mistakes. And obviously, Purdy's interception to Pratt down by the goal line is what really caused all this to erupt. Other than that, I thought they were looking great in the second half, but you got to make adjustments after that first half. And I guess it's really easier said than done and hard to do with a wide receiver like Jamar Chase, because how do what are the adjustments you make to him? I don't know. I thought it was a good matchup, Ward versus him. So he just got the better of him. I'm sure Ward will feel the same way. All right, that's it for now. I'll be coming at you during the week sometime with another episode. Let's just go easy with this one. Try and forget it ever existed, because it's a painful loss. loss is. All right, guys, Niner Nuts out. Second half of the season, we need to make a run. It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. M43379. Thank you for everybody for signing in and joining live. Peace. And I wanna be here. Bum, 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 bum. Do, do, do.